The Brutalist, a harrowing story about the brutality of the American dream, is one of 2024's most exciting features. The story follows protagonist Laszlo Toth, Adrian Brody, a trained Jewish-Hungarian architect who departs for the United States after surviving a concentration camp. He moves to Philadelphia, meets the wealthy Harrison Van Buren, Guy Pearce, and his son Harris, and soon begins the architectural project of a lifetime. Director Brady Corbett's latest work has been nominated for an impressive 10 nominations for the Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Brody for Best Actor. However, the movie is not without criticism. The Brutalist has come under fire for its use of AI to supplement some of the Hungarian dialogue spoken by Brody. Some audiences have also questioned why The Brutalist is one of the longest theatrical films of the past few years. The movie's over 3-hour runtime calls to mind titles like Martin Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon or The Irishman, but The Brutalist boasts a rare feature that most recent movies do not, an officially authorized intermission. The Brutalist's runtime and acts explained. The Brutalist includes 2 acts and an epilogue. The Brutalist has an ending after the ending, as it is split into 4 parts, 2 acts, an intermission, and an epilogue. The first act, Part 1, The Enigma of Arrival, is roughly an hour and 40 minutes and introduces us to Laszlo and the grey, haunting world of the Brutalist in 1947. The opening follows Laszlo's harsh start in the United States, leading up to the Van Buren's decision to commission a community center from him. The intermission runs after this act, and then the movie dives into its second, shorter act, Part 2, The Hardcore of Beauty. Part 2, The Hardcore of Beauty picks up in 1953, continuing to follow Laszlo's struggles with his work, drugs, and the Van Burens. The Brutalist's second act introduces Laszlo's wife, Ursabit, Felicity Jones, who quickly becomes one of the movie's most exciting characters. In Part 2, Harrison Van Buren decides to abandon his community center, firing all of his employees, which eventually leads Laszlo and his family to move to New York City. However, the architect soon finds himself back on site. The rest of the second act is a dark, disturbing dive into the Van Buren's thirst for power and Laszlo's struggle to complete his architectural masterpiece. After the 2 official acts conclude, The Brutalist ends with a brief epilogue, the first architecture biennale. Whereas the first 2 acts focus on Laszlo and his professional and personal journey, the epilogue puts the attention on Laszlo's niece, Zofia Ariane Labt. She describes Laszlo's work, explaining how the Van Buren Community Center was designed to resemble a concentration camp, and how the construction served as a way for Laszlo to process his trauma. As her aging uncle looks on, Zofia concludes The Brutalist with a message he once told her: no matter what the others try and sell you, it is the destination, not the journey. The Brutalist's long runtime is needed to show the time it took for Laszlo to complete his architectural project. The Brutalist's intermission is symbolic. Adrian Brody and Guy Pearce hugging in The Brutalist. Partway through the first act of The Brutalist, Laszlo takes on the massive task of building a community center featuring a library, theater, gymnasium, and chapel for the wealthy Van Buren family. The creation begins to consume Laszlo as he dedicates his days to the project. The extensive construction continues throughout the intermission, hidden away from the eyes of the audience, but implied when Part 2 jumps 6 years into the future. The Brutalist features a montage of construction shots, showing the massive Van Buren Center slowly coming together. The scene is beautiful, and displays not only the work of the fictional Laszlo, but Corbett's strong directorial eye. The Van Buren Center was not created overnight, but rather over several trying years. The following 15-minute reprieve serves as a means of representing how much time has passed, showing just how long Laszlo's work has taken him. Why director Brady Corbett included an intermission in The Brutalist? Audiences need a break. Laszlo showing his blueprint to a huddle of men with umbrellas in The Brutalist. The Brutalist's intermission arrives at the end of Part 1, The Enigma of Arrival, which concludes about halfway through the 3-hour and 35-minute movie at the 1-hour and 40-minute mark. The intermission lasts for 15 minutes, during which the screen first shows a photo of the Toth family and then a countdown to 0, at which time The Brutalist resumes. During this intermission, piano music plays, which Corbett commissioned from John Tilbury for the Daniel Blumberg-helmed score. Corbett also added the intermission to The Brutalist for audience members who needed a break while viewing the lengthy film. In an interview with IndieWire, he explained that he, too, enjoys a pause during a long watch. He remarked that he has a hard time sitting still for 3.5 hours, so he needed it. During the intermission, viewers are able to process what they've just seen. Speaking with The Times, Corbett also explained that the Brutalist intermission's specific length of 15 minutes was another intentional choice. Corbett's partner, director Mona Fastvold, provided her take on the intermission, too. She compared the experience of watching The Brutalist to that of binging a television series. At some screenings of The Brutalist, the intermission began after minutes of nothing but a blank screen. These interruptions were due to the movie being shown on 35mm or 70mm film in some theaters. The film was shot using VistaVision, a form of 35mm film, so projectionists had to physically remove and replace the reel, adding to The Brutalist's already lengthy runtime.